so it's time to give a big barbecue-based welcome to a man who helped shape the New Zealand barbecue scene. He's competed, been the face behind many products, and then launched one of the most successful New Zealand brands in barbecue, the Four Saucemen. Welcome back to the base. Adam Winter, how are you, mate? It's been a while.
I'm really good, Alex, actually. Really good.
Yeah,
Awesome,
I think
mate.
it was possibly, I know you came along when we were still recording out of Noel's old house, which I think was season 1 or 2.
Yeah,
Was the last time we had you on there. I think you were on for the brisket round table.
Yes.
First one of those we did.
Yeah, it was a good night. It was a good night.
So it's been a little while. And what's been going on in the world of the Four Saucemen since we last chatted?
I think you start a hobby business, I guess, is when it started, and you grow exponentially into this thing. You're not quite sure how to run and how to make it move, but it's just organically grown, and here we are, and learning all these new skills.
Nice.
And what's
It's been scary.
What have been? We've had a few recent products, haven't we? There's been the hot honey sauce,
hot honey rub, and hot honey sauce. Yeah,
for the rib glaze. Like, tell us a little bit about some of the things that have hit the shelves of late.
The Manuka hot honey rub and glaze are the two new ones, and I didn't. It took a long time to develop them. The rub particularly, honey powder is really difficult to work with. And the one honey powder that was available to us was rubbish. Do you remember honey puffs?
Yes.
So that is the powder that's currently available to us. And we tried it, and we had some Manuka powder as well, and added it together, and it all tasted really good when you tasted it out of the jar. And then when you cooked with it, because we do this as well, it smelled like urine when it heated up. It was the most. It was revolting.
Oh, so no!
Honey puffs, the honey puff flavour when you heated it smelled like wheeze. It was bloody awful.
Oh, no.
So not exactly a selling point, is it? That
no. So we had to go back to the drawing board with the Manuka hot honey rub, and it was deleting out that particular honey flavour and then running just running the honey powder. So Manuka honey powder. So it's a uniquely New Zealand product, which we're really thrilled with, and it's got a lovely creaminess to it. And when we spoke to the honey producers and we said, what's the difference between Manuka honey and normal honey? The marketing woman said the standard honey is like a cheap white wine, and a Manuka honey is like an expensive red. And I think she nailed it. When you tasted the difference from when we were doing the trials, that's what it was.
Well, there is a reason. I mean, you see how much honey goes overseas from us in the Manuka stuff, and how we fight to make sure that people can't, take that name and call foreign-grown products Manuka honey. And I know that my sister loves it in the UK, and I have to send her like Manuka honey products, all the beauty products and stuff.
Yeah.
And the when the tourists come down from Asia, they absolutely love it. They go crazy for it. They buy up tons of the stuff. So definitely something to it. That old Manuka honey from New Zealand, I'd say, definitely something to it.
Yeah, it's a crazy good product.
And you've got that in the rib glaze as well, because I know that's been sort of around and people are loving that too. Was there much of it? Did you have the same problem in the rib glaze that you found it was smelling like
no,
or because the other stuff that's in there, it was masking it?
Yeah, the rib glaze wasn't so bad because we used quite a high percentage of Manuka honey in the rib glaze. So you got that lovely smoothness out of it. We didn't use anything else in it. The rub, when we originally did the rub, we were trying to use a little bit of Manuka powder because it's so expensive, and a little bit of honey powder, but it just didn't work. So we just had to eliminate the honey powder altogether, or the honey flavour, and go back to the Manuka powder to get that nice flavour. But whereas the glaze just had the literally honey in it.
Yeah, and remind us where, like, you're available pretty. I mean, I always see you in butchers, so I always know that you're in, like, I literally see you in butchers normally. I walk into a butcher's, and a number of times you've just been stood there and we have a chat. So I literally see you in butchers. But the products, they're available in lots and lots of butchers across the country. Any of the supermarkets or any of the, Mitre 10s and stuff like that, where else can people grab Four Saucemen if they want them?
We are in some of the New Worlds and Pack and Saves, and that's increasing all the time. We've got a new brand company who's working with us at the moment to help us with distribution, because that's not always easy to do when you're a small company. So they're helping us out. Most of the reputable butchers have our products. All the good barbecue shops have our products. Mitre 10 not yet, but hopefully we'll see what happens. Yeah, you can always buy direct as well, but look, we try and push you out to our good butchers.
Yeah, I think I definitely, obviously Barbecues More, Barbecue Boy, all that kind of stuff. They've all got you hunting and fishing.
Yes.
Have got you stocked, who obviously a show partner, so make sure you buy some from Hunting and Fishing. But the new product stuff, it's interesting because I know you guys are always thinking about new products and always looking for that next thing. But I don't think people sometimes understand, like, if you asked me before I met loads of people like you and Matt Melville and stuff like that, and you asked me how long I thought a new product took, I'd be like, I don't know, like a month, something like that. Like, have an idea, kind of put it together, chuck it in a bottle and send it out, right? It's not that hard. But there's a lot more to it. Like, what goes into, how long does it take you to create a new product from going from literally like, I've got an idea, to seeing it on a shelf, and what sort of things go into developing a new product for the Four Saucemen?
It can be 6 months to a year for our stuff. So the lamb rub's a really good example, actually. We had the beef rub, we had the pork rub, which were already done. We released those, and they were family recipes, and so that was easy. The lamb rub we struggled with a wee bit because I don't like rosemary, garlic, and mint sauce. It's not my thing, and nor does Sarah, my wife. And Sarah's responsible for a lot of our flavours, and so we would play around in the kitchen, open the spice drawer, and start making stuff for lamb. And over a period of weeks, months, we would just, on a Friday night, Thursday night, whatever, and would kick around a few flavours. And one night, and we measure everything we do, so if there's something successful, we know we can go and replicate it. So one night we were mucking around, and Sarah came up with the lamb rub, and I said, "Stop! That's it. You've nailed it." And that's a flavour we both really like at home. It's our go-to. And what was interesting is in 17, 18, those early meat stock years, we were cooking with rosemary, mint, and those sort of flavours because we knew that's what the judges sort of wanted. And I remember, Noel, you came past our cooking side, I think in 2020, and tasted one of the sauces that I made for lamb. And mint sauce is not my go-to. And I said to Noel, "Can you taste this? Because it's not my thing." And Noel had a taste. He goes, "Yeah, that's not, I like that. It's nice." And we used that style of sauce on our lamb dish for meat stock. This last couple of years, we've been using our own lamb rub and using our own home flavours, the ones that we love. And those flavours have done really, really well in the lamb category. So I think the judges' palates have changed. We've gone away from those traditional flavours. We're looking for something a little bit more modern. And I think that's really exciting. But yeah, when we develop something new, it's in the home kitchen, spice drawer gets opened, and we have a play.
And I guess different to then, like, I hear quite a lot of the American guys, they always talk about how it tastes one way in the kitchen, and then you send it to the commercial guys and they send back your sample and you're like, no, it's completely different. And you have to kind of redo the whole thing, right? Because when you send to bulk and co-packing it, like, they have different spices, they have different storage methods, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we learned in the early days, that's what happened to us as well. So what we learned is to use the spices that these guys are using. So we will often go and pick these guys up and go and use their garlic, go and use their salt, go and use their onion powder, etc., so that we can get it straight away, and that saves another week of development. But
Right.
the development side is tough. It's not an easy thing to do, and you've got to be, in our business, we have to be 100% happy with what we're doing. We won't launch a product unless we're happy. Those 2 gravies we did, they took 12 months.
Yeah.
Just to be, it was outside of our wheelhouse as well. We didn't know how to build a powdered gravy, so it was a lot of asking, talking to people, how to balance the flavours, how to make it feel full and fancy as well.
So, mate, that segues nicely into flavours, really. Obviously, you've done a lot of home cooking. We've talked about the cooking. We always discuss the stuff that we're up to. But yeah, I mean, look, let's talk about chicken. So if I'm the average home cook getting into sort of barbecue, or I'm already into barbecue and I want to play around with some flavours, what would you be doing with chicken nowadays?
So our chicken rub that we started with years ago has won a ton of awards. In fact, I think we've got more chicken trophies at comp than any other trophy. So that chicken rub worked really, really well and still does.
You're like the polar opposite to me. I think I have like 2 chicken trophies. It's my worst category by far.
I hate chicken. No,
it's the hardest one to prep for sure, for sure. But it won. It got a top finalist award in Australia last year for a top rub. Our Manuka hot honey one goes really well on chicken, and I like a little bit of heat. We sent that to America for the best rub on the planet comp this year. Which picked up a 4th equal. We got pushed back to 6th on that. We had judges emailing us saying, "Can we please buy it in America?" And so we've popped it on Amazon now. So that hot honey rub's now on Amazon in the States. So it's those 2 products, chicken and hot honey on chicken, are really good. The chicken rub is not as hot, so it's kid friendly. Our pork rub actually goes really well in chicken as well. So if you're looking for something that's no heat.
That's kind of interesting, because I know, like, without giving away too much, like we may use on our chicken a rub that is not designed for chicken, right? But they do kind of, I think people get obsessed with going, it says chicken on the thing, so I can only use this on chicken. And you can actually, I mean, they're just full of herbs and flavors, right? So it's not like, if you could put a beef rub on your chicken if you really wanted to, if you like a salty, salt and peppery chicken, go for it.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that you can play around with them.
Yeah.
But
we have customers contact us from time to time saying, "Oh, they mixed this one with that run." I think that's really good. I think it's good that people experiment with what we do as well, and they mix pork and chicken together. Or a lot of people use the white rub that we do, which is a general garlic butter style seasoning, because it's got MSG in it. It gives it a good kick, and people love that. One thing we did find actually with the white rub is it dries the skin of the chicken, so it makes it much easier to dehydrate.
What do you think drives that?
We think it's the milk powder.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
We noticed it last year when we were cooking with More Better Barbecue in Australia. We put white rub on first onto the skin, and it really helped it dry out really quickly.
And let's have a bit of a chat about pork now. I'm just going to throw a comment in here. It's something I've been doing for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
20% Four Saucemen beef in any pork rub that you use gives you really red ribs. So if you like a really nice red base to put your glaze over, talking about using different rubs on different proteins, Four Saucemen beef is the secret weapon for getting a bit of red in it for me. So, but anyway, back to your pork.
Yeah, mate, we use it on our pork as well.
Yeah. It's actually a really good flavour, and it adds a bit of savouriness to what are normally quite sweet pork rubs, right? So if you want to dial back some of that sweet, it's a really good one to sort of balance flavours on pork.
Yes, 100%.
But yeah, what would your typical sort of pork flavour profile be, Adam?
When I did the Aussie comp this year with our ribs, which we got a first in at the Melbourne comp, we did a layer of pork, a white layer of pork, layer of hot honey, and then the little secret of the beef rub, we give that a very light dusting over the top.
Nice.
And would you take that flavour profile straight into home as well? Or would you tweak it at all?
No, probably the only thing we change at home is we don't really inject anything at home, but we'll still go pretty full on with the flavours. So if I do ribs at home, I'll still go full house. We've been lucky enough at work. We've got a GMG gave us a smoker earlier this year, and I've always been a little bit anti pellet grills, and I love this thing. It's I sit in my office and I can see it outside the window, and it just does its thing. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, they're nice and easy, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think the modern technology has changed a bit as well, you know. So I remember ones that I used 7-8 years ago were quite flavourless.
Yes.
And I don't know what's changed. Something's definitely changed, but you're definitely getting a lot more flavour on your proteins there. So I'd agree with that. Yeah, and I think the other thing as well is that, you know, they do, I think, you know, I'm thinking about sort of chicken and pork. You know, they do lend themselves towards white meat, you know, because you don't necessarily want a big, massive smoke flavour on what are otherwise delicate meats, you know, so they're actually quite good for that.
Well, I think there's a reason a lot of people are using globally pellet grills now as their chicken cookers for competition.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously part of it is that easy control because it's one of those cooks where I don't know about others, but we certainly start off a lot hotter and then drop the temps. So that's why we run a fan for our one on the one that we use, so we can drop those temps nice and quick. And I guess pellet grill's the same, but that whole like the light smoke, you know, you don't want too heavy smoke on chicken in competition, where you might want a bit more at home, right? Because actually, you know, a little smoky chicken is quite nice. Like I quite like it. I like to have a little bit heavier smoke on it when I'm cooking at home than I do for competition.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think the pellet grills are, especially for the thickened skin, with the fan blowing across the tops, can really assist with that setting.
Yeah, I find that is a real thing when I'm doing it I use a pit barrel, but with a fan, and that airflow actually dries out those skins completely differently to any other pit that I use. So, it sets that rub super fast.
Yeah.
Don't have any problems with it. Whereas I've done them on other ones and without the airflow, and a rub takes ages to set, or it kind of doesn't get set in time, and you're like, God, I've got to do something with these and all this kind of stuff. So I can totally understand that. Now we've talked a bit about beef rubs, and we're going to talk about beef, but beef probably comes into two categories for most people. You know, you've got your big cuts of beef, and then you've got steaks. Right. So are we treating them any differently from a flavor perspective? Obviously the cooking is completely different, but how do you approach your beef in terms of flavors and what you want to do with them?
I think if I'm at home, I actually prefer a lot of smoke on brisket and short rib. That's my go-to. Competition barbecue has moved away from some of that smoke. So when I go to comp, it's a more delicate smoke flavour, but we go pretty heavy on that beefy, savoury flavour with beef, with rubs and sauces and things like that. But I'm still at home. I still love a home cooked offset brisket. I think that's something that I still really, really enjoy. And competition barbecue moving to hot and fast, where we've gone to that char grilled, char taste, is a little bit different.
So are we still just looking at are you running when you're at home? Like let's focus on the home side.
Yeah.
Are you running like a Texas style with a lot of salt and pepper? Are you a fan of bringing in a little bit more of that kind of Kansas City sweet in there, or like what's your go-to flavor profile on a brisket for at home?
We use white rub, chicken rub, and
chicken
beef.
Rub.
Yeah, and beef.
What are you getting out of the chicken rub that you like from there? What's that flavour hit?
It's got a savoury note to it. That chicken rub. It's got a little bit of tomato powder in it, and it has a deep, if you know what I mean, without being too sweet. Um, Charlotte has been using it on her SCA steaks and the chicken rub, and it gives a lovely colour, but also that savouriness from the tomato.
Right, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting to hear chicken rub going down on a bit of brisket. So there you go. There's a hot tip for somebody out there to give a go.
And then sometimes I'll layer a bit. If I'm doing it a little bit hotter, I'll layer some black over it just to help with the bark. But otherwise, if I'm doing it slowly, relatively slowly, I'll just let it build its own colour.
Oh, well, I think there's a whole thing. Like I know what you mean when you say like competition has almost taken a lot of the smoke out of a lot of the meats. And it's interesting because I like to judge at least once a year. And sometimes you hear in the judging room like people commenting on the lack of smoke, and I sometimes think we need to actually bring that back a bit in the competition room. But
100%.
The other thing that I'm really bad at it, because normally if I've got a brisket, it's probably a comp one, and I'm doing either a practice or whatever. But sometimes I just love to get a pretty bog standard. I used to get the Greenleys and stuff on Adam at Gilmore's, and a bog standard brisket, and not cooked comp style, cooked at 250 or 275, and just let it go. And what I really want to do is just one day I might have to go over to Noel's and borrow his offset because I don't have one anymore, and just do like a 12-hour no wrap Texas style brisket
100%.
and just have fun with it. I just think there's a whole thing around. We all do a lot of the hot and fast stuff and the comp style stuff, and for me, I'm ready. I think I've said it before. I'm ready to get another offset. If I was allowed to buy anything right now, which I'm not, I would be buying myself a big offset and going, I'm ready for 12 to 14-hour cooks again. Like let's have some fun with it.
I think it's really interesting that New Zealand, we took on offset smoking pretty seriously 2017, 18, 19. We got into it. By 2021, 22, we were cooking hotter and faster, and I think it's great the way New Zealanders adapt so quickly, and we take charge of something. The Americans have been doing this forever, and we think we do it better. And to be honest, we probably do. We're very good with flavour here, and we're very good with cooking. We produce some good home cooks in this country, and I think it's great the way we sort of took hold of hot and fast. Let's do it, and we can do it really well. And then I'm of the opinion now that the low and slow is still a lot of fun. And, Sunday morning, getting up early, prepping your brisket, the boys are coming over for the UFC. There's a lot of pride involved in cooking well for your buddies. And especially for a sports afternoon or a sports night, the All Blacks might be playing on Saturday night, and you've got to get a brisket ready by kickoff. I love that. I think that's just awesome. And when your mates come over who maybe haven't experienced that style of cooking before, you blow people away. Whether it's ribs or brisket or pulled pork, it's people who haven't experienced that before just love it.
I know
you then build another barbecue person.
Well, when we talked to Jess Pryles earlier on in the year, she talked a lot about how a Texas brisket is a special thing, and you can't cook a Texas style brisket in 5 hours. Just doesn't happen. Like that's a different style of brisket, and for her, she's like, if you're cooking a brisket in less than 10 to 12 hours, it's not Texas style. Not Texas style with the salt pepper wrap, and it looks like a piece of asteroid or something that's come through the atmosphere and landed in the in the thing. It should be like this black lump of crusty stuff which has a beautiful inside, but you get that lovely crispy bark as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think we've lost that.
I have to agree. I have to agree with that. The last pop up I did 250 degrees. One of the briskets stayed on for 12 and a half hours. And the bark was second to none. And it was a hard cook. Don't get me wrong; it's been a long time since I've done a 12-hour, brisket. But yeah, it's just something about it. You break down all the microcollagens, and we're going back to flavour on beef.
Yep.
Just that straight salt and pepper and a 12-hour cook.
Yeah.
And you're getting layers of flavour in that are way beyond just salt and pepper, right? So I think that's the other side to flavour, right? Is using the woods that you use and the length of the cook to impart different layers of flavour onto the meat as well. It's not just about the rub, right?
Your wood becomes the salt and pepper. But that's your flavour profile when you're adding. Look, apple goes with pork. We know that. Cherry goes with pork. Pudakawa, that's often used here, goes with beef quite well. We used to use Pudakawa on our ribs in the day because I really loved it.
I use it on pretty much everything. It's like my base smoke layer, apart from chicken.
Yeah.
But ribs, pork, brisket for comps, like Pudakawa
it's a beautiful wood.
It goes in every single thing, and then I might add something else. But I love the Pudakawa, and it's native.
Mate, back in the day when I first started competing, we were using dead standing Kanuka.
Yeah,
that was the secret, for us, and it definitely didn't taste like fish. It was an amazing wood, if you've got it seasoned well. Kanuka is beautiful, but if it's not seasoned well, it tastes like fish, right?
Yeah,
you associate it with smoked fish.
Kanuka just reminds me. It's just smells like a New Zealand barbecue, and not in a good way, right? just like oh yeah, somebody's got some snapper and some car white.
I'm gonna cook something with Kanuka one day and not tell you, and let's see if you can pick it, because I think if you use it in the right way, it's pretty amazing. And mate, we talked about lamb earlier. There's so many different cuts of lamb, right? You've got the shoulders, low and slow. You've got fillets and racks, hot and fast. So how are you treating those? I mean, obviously you've got an absolute cracker of a lamb rub, which we talked about earlier. But if you take it away from barbecue rubs for a minute, and let's think about lamb. Spice shelf. Got some lemon, got some garlic. Let's talk about that for a minute. How would you treat your lamb if you're not going to go down the barbecue road, if you're just going to do it over charcoal or something like that? What would you do with that?
Salt, pepper, and lemon rind is my sort of go-to if I'm away on holiday or something like that, and I don't have access. The amount of times I've been away on holiday and not taken my own product, it's quite embarrassing actually. And you have to build something on the go. So I really like lemon juice, lemon rind. I think is really underrated, especially for some of that sort of fire cooking. One of my most favourite lamb dishes years ago was just a lamb shoulder done in a pizza oven, and we did it exactly salt, pepper with some lemon rind in it. We were on holiday on Waiheke actually, and this house had a pizza oven, and we thought, let's give this a go overnight. We had pizzas in the afternoon to the evening, and then as the pizza oven cooled overnight, we put the lamb shoulder in. And it's probably one of the best lamb shoulders I've ever had. It's absolutely beautiful with, Pudakawa wood, a little bit of tea tree, to be honest. That's those sort of flavours. It was pretty heavy, but man, it was yum. It was just awesome. And we made a ragu with it, and some pappardelle, and it was unreal. So.
And it's funny actually at my classes, when I do a pulled lamb, I always actually put a little twist of lemon on at the end, and people look at it and go, what is he doing? But it actually cuts the lamb fat, and it does elevate it quite significantly, So lemon's super underrated as a sort of finishing product when you cook even a low and slow lamb, it's pretty amazing when you do that.
Yeah, and like Monday to Friday, like lamb rump is my favourite lamb cut.
Beautiful.
And Sarah makes the most amazing mushroom risotto, and we'll do a mushroom risotto with heaps of parmesan and stuff, and slice the lamb up over the top. Man, just
That sounds like coming to your house for a weekday dinner by the sounds of it. That
Anytime, mate. Anytime.
And mate, fish. I mean, we haven't really had much chatter about fish.
Polarizing, isn't it?
No. See, the thing is, like Heather, my partner's like really allergic to shellfish, and doesn't like much fish. She'll like eat a blue cod or a nice flaky white fish, teriyaki, something like that. But generally, she's very much the white flaky lane, and we don't cook too much of it anymore. I used to eat a ton of fish and a ton of shellfish, but she's highly allergic. So, do you get much? Do you do much fish at home?
We do. Orange roughy, I really like. That's just become back on the market probably in the last 12 months. We've got a local fish shop in Glen Innes here that gets that. And that's a beautiful white, firm flesh. And to be honest, we use panko crumb and our jalapeno and orange rub, and we put a good helping of that in, and you get a really beautiful citrusy heat with that rub, and then mixed with the panko, that nice crispy sort of texture, and that for us is game changer on fish. That's to be honest, it's reignited my love for eating fish again. Scallops I love, but they're expensive. But we buy those frozen ones that come from overseas, and they're pretty cheap.
Now you may have to settle, because earlier on this show we were talking about does fish ruin a barbecue? So do you have a separate barbecue to cook your fish like Noel does, little princess Noel over here? Yes, let's have a separate barbecue only to cook fish. Or do you just go, you know what, it's fine, you're just cooking it wrong?
I smoke my fish in an old Pro Q that I've got. That is just for my I smoke salmon and other bits and pieces. If I do it in the pellet grill, I have a special dish that it goes in, that everything that falls off the fish goes in that dish, so that doesn't touch the pellet grill. I am pretty fussy with my barbecues.
Yes.
I bet you clean your barbecues. You don't believe in the old, you don't clean your barbecue because it adds flavour to your next cook.
Yes, to be honest, I've got a son who cleans my barbecue.
That's
love it. Mate, just on your orange and jalapeno rub, I remember you giving me that, right?
Yes.
And I have to say it was an amazing rub to use. A couple of things I did with it. I actually mixed it with demerara sugar and put it on a salmon and cured that and then smoked it.
Yep.
And that was actually one of the best things I've eaten, if I'm honest. And I've used it on whitefish. I've mixed it into a compound butter.
Yep.
And finished things off with it. It is actually a super, super versatile flavour.
It is.
So awesome rub, and I know that's gone well for you as well.
We do chicken tacos at home all the time. We buy the white corn flour or the blue corn flour, and we make our own tacos and bits and pieces. We use it on beef skirt steak. We use it on chicken. We use it on prawns. Just try and mix. Sarah and I to be honest, we're trying to be a little bit healthier with our eating in the last couple of months, and trying to find some recipes that we can use with our own stuff that's a bit easy. So the corn tacos are a good option.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Mate, let's talk about sauces now. Obviously you've got a really lovely range of, sauces, and most of them are go-tos in many people's pantries. I love that. I do like that Manuka honey one, I have to say. But look, your average Joe, obviously, if they want to have a bit of a go and mix up a quick sauce, where would you start with something like that? I mean, obviously, we always make sort of, jus and stuff like that at home. But, if you're relatively new to this style of cooking and you wanted to sort of knock something fairly simple up, what would your sort of 2 or 3 core ingredients be as a base, and then building out from there? What would you
I think if you're trying to make it easy for yourself at home, start with a good tomato-based sauce, because that's what they're all based on, and then start adding your flavours from there. So things we use, obviously brown sugar rather than white sugar, onion and garlic powders, those sort of nice sort of savoury flavours. Then you can introduce heat, and you've got to cook everything down gently, not too hot. We played with rib glaze for a long time when we were first starting because there was nothing available off the shelf. And every time I cooked ribs at home, I had to make a sauce. And it got really frustrating. I was like, man, surely somebody should make a rib glaze. And that was back in 17, 18. And I'd make this stuff by the sort of 5 litre saucepan. And all my mates wanted it, so they would turn up with their empty bottles and would fill it up. And, you know, East Auckland was covered in rib glaze from our house. Our gas bill from cooking this stuff was through the roof. And so you're starting with just buy a shelf tomato sauce is a good way to start. It's a cheap way to start. And then build it from there with your sugar and your spices and that sort of stuff. And that's what we did to start with.
Mm.
Well,
Nice.
I think, and the other way to do it is obviously just buy a jar of your sauce or a bottle of your sauce and start from there.
It's much
easier.
Do
the easier way, yeah.
It's actually
why
easier.
Why we have
cheaper.
commercial rubs and sauces. Yeah, cheaper in the long run, I'll tell you that.
Well,
now,
a bottle of our rib glaze does 8 to 10 racks of ribs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, it is time to turn up that heat a little bit, and we're going to fire some quick fires at you. But before we fire some quick fires at you, let's quick fire some ads at all of you. All right, Adam. It is time. We've got some new quick fire. I don't know if we even had these or we did them on the last time because we were doing a round table style thing. So you may never have been asked some of these questions before in your life. But we're going to fire some in here. And I'm going to kick us off. What is the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Beef tendons. We talked about this a little while ago, actually.
Oh, we did, yes. Beef tendons. Yeah, you've still got these beef tendons. That's right.
Texturally awful.
Yeah. Right. I can't imagine them being good, to be honest.
No.
Right. What was the best birthday present or Christmas present you got as a kid?
I know we haven't asked you this one.
I'm an 80s kid, or I was born 70s, but 80s BMX bike, sort of grew up around that area, and I got a red line BMX bike, which was in those days was
they're pre-flash. They have, you come from a nice family that got you a flash BMX, mate. A red line. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Was it a chopper or a grifter?
I had a grifter. Weighed a ton.
It was one of those two. I knew it.
I was racing BMX bikes in those days when I was 9, 10 years old and did reasonably well. And the red line was like the reward.
Yeah, nice.
Wow, yeah. That is a nice one. That is a nice one. That's good. I like that. Okay, we've all got them, and you're not allowed to say the old bear clause. What is the most useless barbecue purchase that you've ever got in your house? You just looked at it and gone, why did I buy that?
I got given, and no names given, I got given a brisket shaver.
Oh, Ken did Ken give it to you?
No. For helping me prep taking the fat off brisket. And, yeah.
Now, Ken, a few shows ago,
not awesome.
Ken Van Mackerberg talked about these and said he put that as his most useless one, and then he sent Noel and I some rubs, and lo and behold, in both of our boxes was one of these freaking brisket shavers.
Yeah.
So I have one as well now, and I haven't used it on a brisket yet.
Can I just say, I was actually quite impressed. I actually just ran it across my arm, expecting it to do fuck all, and I got a stripe on my arm. It's actually quite sharp, so I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a go, but I'm not holding out much.
Considering your Greek heritage, that's some effort if it got through those
some blade
wires on your arm. Oh, Stavros.
All right. Jesus, at least I've got hair. Jesus. Mate, what's your guilty pleasure? Dig deep here, mate. Something we don't know about you that people would be surprised by. You know, any weird music. You know.
I'm a techno music guy. But guilty pleasure. I love V8 classic cars. It's my thing.
Nice.
I've built them. I've bought them. I've Yeah, I love them.
Yeah. What are you running at the moment?
I'm not. We sold our truck last year. We had a 48 Ford F1 truck with a big block in it.
Wow.
It was a beautiful truck. We had a buyer who just managed to see the truck, who the car wasn't for sale, and he said, "I want to buy your truck." And anyway, we came to a number and said it has to go. So at the moment we're in the looking phase again. So, but we'll probably build something this time.
That's kind of the fun bit anyway, I reckon.
Yeah.
Half the purchases I make, I have the most fun before I've bought them. Just where anything's a possibility, right? And you're just like,
yeah,
this is great. Yeah. All right. What keeps you sane?
My wife.
That's not normally the answer that we get.
No, we said sane, not insane.
Yeah, you've both met Sarah, so
she's awesome.
She's a very calming-natured lady.
Very, very lucky man.
You are.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Well, mate, you've survived, and I guess where can people keep up with you guys online? And if you want to plug any places for them to buy your wonderful products.
You can head to our socials on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, see what we're up to. There's always a recipe video going down.
That's just the Four Saucemen. That's the way for people to find them.
The Four Saucemen on Facebook and Instagram. We've got some really good recipes coming through and that have been on as well. And if you're not sure of where to find our products, just head to our website and there's a stockist list on there. And we can also help them, and you can fire us a message on Facebook Messenger, and we can always help you out.
Great. Well, mate, thank you very much for making the time to come visit with us again. We've super enjoyed having you on the show. We won't leave it as long as last time. And guys, that is it for another episode of Barbecue Base. Thank you for stopping by and lending us your ears. Okay, you know the drill. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to never miss an episode. And make sure you're following us on all our socials, which is Barbecue Base NZ on Facebook and just Barbecue Base on Insta. If you want to keep up with Noel, he's Meat Mafia Collective on every social platform known to man. And you can get behind those meat curtains at meatmafiacollective.com. And to keep up with me on social media, it's Burnt Beginnings Barbecue on Facebook and Insta. And don't forget, if you want one of our brand new t-shirts or hoodies, drop us a message at the Barbecue Base Messenger, and we will give you all of those details of how to secure yours in our next order. So come on back next time when we'll have more great barbecue chat, tips, tricks, and guests on Barbecue Base.